you're in I'm trapped in a cube, right? I'm there, I can't see anything, there's grayness around me. This is probably very much a low point in the design of cubicle era. Like the early 2000s were horrible. Everything was not beige, it was gray at that point. And we had one screen to look at. We could look over, our wall and say hello to somebody occasionally, but everybody's working, so you're just like stuck in this visually depleted kind of environment. And so I found myself kind of like going nuts on that, and really like trying to find a way out of it. And as I heard, there was the guy at NPR who had started walking across the country. He was in a cubicle job and decided, well, how do I, escape this? Like, this is not, nobody sits in a cubicle and thinks, this is what I'm going to be when I grow up, So his term was, how do I escape the betrayal of the cubicle? How do I make a life for myself that goes beyond this somehow? And when I was hearing that, I totally related to it, and I said, wow, that's what my project was. I was trying to kind of get away from this cube that I'd been put in and kind of go beyond it and be myself somehow, find an outlet for being myself. So I think the most important thing was that I was just phone doodling. That's what it all started with. I was we had notepads that we were, well, let me back up a second. I was doing cancer information calls through the American Cancer Society. We were taking call after call. I talked to 30,000 people over a 4.5-year period. As you can imagine, it was challenging, but also there was a boredom factor that would set in because of the repetition of what we were doing. And so I found myself at one point on a particularly long call. You'd get from time to time people just calling not for information. After a while you realized, oh my gosh, this person just wants to talk to you, And so at one point I delivered all the information and done my job, but here I was kind of on this phone call with somebody and not finding a good place to wrap it up. And sometimes, people steamroller you into having a much longer conversation than you want. But I ended up drawing some faces and, just like your general profiles and eyes and, things that you've done since you were a kid. And after I got off the phone call, I realized, oh my gosh, I was drawing and I didn't even realize it. And it was, I did that for a little bit longer, brought my sketchbook, started drawing a little bit while I was taking calls. And trying my best to, pay attention to what the caller's needs were, but at the same time doing that. And at one point, something clicked. I came home and said, I should just, some of these conversations are so animated and the personality is so crystal clear when I talk to them that I really feel like I can start to eke out who they are, what they do, what their lives are, on the other end of the line. So it was a great process for me. I was just, every day I was like cranking out, 8 per shift. I couldn't wait to go back to work at a certain point. It saved my life the last 6 months of my job because I was going in and going, oh man, I'm going to get some really good ones today,